Hello, friends, new and old, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the only show that talks to musicians about their canine companions and the value these creatures bring to all our lives. I'm your host, Tim Dill, along with my ride or die Charlie, and today we welcome to the show John Barrett of Bass Drum of Death, who are currently in a Nashville studio working on their next album, and this is his extremely good girl, Rocker Dog.
Our dog, this is Egg. She is 3 years old, about 3.5 now. She's a rescue and a mix, but mainly Beagle and Husky, which is super interesting. Of course, we did the
DNA
genetic test or whatever, the DNA test, and I think Beagle and Husky was most of it, and then there was some Australian cattle dog and some Great Dane. Weirdly.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
Which is strange because she's not a big dog, but very interesting getting those results back for sure.
Totally. Is she about 40 pounds?
Yeah, about 37, 40 pounds, yeah.
Okay. And the name, where'd you get the name?
We kind of batted it around for a while just because I thought it was funny, and then I kind of retrofitted it to mean extremely good girl.
I love it.
So yeah, great. It kind of works a couple of ways there.
And going back 3.5 years, give me the context around getting her. What was going on in your life and music and
yeah, so me and my fiance, we met in New York City, and obviously really tough to have a dog in New York. But during the pandemic, we moved back to Mississippi so she could go to law school. And moved into a house down in Oxford, and had kind of been talking about it, and I think I guess it was my birthday 2021, which is in July. She was like, just came up and she was like, by the way, I'm getting you a dog and we have to go pick her up today.
Nice.
And so I was like, yeah, well, great, we're in it now. So we drove over to Tupelo, Mississippi, to the Humane Society and picked her up, and she was tiny. And I'm talking like maybe 3 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Pounds. And she was tiny, and she rode on Mariel's shoulder all the way back to Oxford, and immediately, I guess first night, just refused to sleep in her crate without whining. And Mariel was like, let's just let her sleep in the bed. We'll do the crate thing later. And to this day, she now still, tucks herself into the bed in between us. So,
of course.
So she's pretty, she established her way very early with us.
Her dominance. Well, yeah. I was gonna eventually get to that, like, I guess in the context of, has she had any training? Does she have the run of the house? Can she be on the couch? Can she be on the bed? Seems like that answer is yes.
Yeah, she's she's pretty she's very smart, and so she knows, kind of the basic stuff, but she also knows when to kind of ignore it, or she kind of does. She has selective hearing sometimes with that. But yeah, we pretty much she pretty much has the run of things in the house, and there's not much that we don't let her do. But also she's very, very good and well behaved generally, so there's not a whole lot of, and never has been a whole lot of worry of her messes. She's never chewed on stuff or really, she potty trained really, really easily. Yeah, she's been kind of a very easy dog to have, thankfully.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even consider the whole puppy question, but that's such a different animal raising a puppy. They get up a lot at night and need to go to the bathroom and they have potty training. But it sounds like this dog was pretty easy to, bring along.
Yeah, the big adjustment for me was just waking up early. I was kind of transitioning. My fiance was in law school, so she was kind of waking up early, and then with Egg, I was having to, get up way earlier than I was used to, because as a musician, I was very not used to waking up early. So now it's kind of now we're kind of in the groove, and like we both wake up at like 7:30 or so. Yeah, and she's also really Egg is also really good about that. She'll kind of stir around and paw at you and see if you're waking up. And if you're not waking up, she'll like kind of leave you alone for another 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So she's been pretty good with that. But yeah, that was probably the most difficult thing getting used to. But yeah, aside from that, she's been kind of a dream.
And back when your fiance sprung it on you, was your visceral reaction like, bring it on, or were you more kind of, okay, are we ready for this? Do we have the, everything we need for this?
Yeah, I was kind of like bring it on, and then like once we got her, I was like, then it kind of hit me. I was like, oh man, we have this, other thing to take care of and everything. And I'd never had a dog before her. Yeah, so it was more more of an adjustment in like the first, week or month. But yeah, when it was sprung on me, I was all for it. And I'm glad she did because one of those things where we had talked about it for a while, but sometimes you just gotta jump in and just do it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in the bigger picture, was it a transitional part of your life? And I bring that up just because going to the Fat Possum site and looking at some of the stuff that was written about Say I Won't LP, specifically the song Find It, they wrote that it's a new, more sober perspective that comes from taking responsibility of one's own life and problems. And then they have a quote from you that says, it's a reference to my own personal issues. The song is about how the place you live is irrelevant. Nothing really matters unless you change yourself. So given that's, I guess, around 2022, 2023, you're getting the dog in 2021. Is this a transitional time for you?
Yeah, I mean it was because I mean we had lived in New York for 7 years and then moved, kind of just got out of there once COVID first started hitting, and then that led to my fiance ended up coming down to law school there. So yeah, we were back in Mississippi, which is where I'm from and where I grew up. So yeah, and pretty much every sense of the word, it was a very transitional period for me. It was a good time to get a dog and kind of just kind of switch things up and I guess for me personally, start to focus on some of that stuff and like having a home rather than going out and partying till 3, 4 in the morning, like four or five nights a week. Start to maybe be a little, just a smidge more, responsible and stuff like that. So
Well, I pour through my guests' Instagrams to find certain things to talk about dogs. And one thing I will give you, it looks like you did have a lot of fun over the last 12 years that you've been posting on Instagram.
yeah.
And sporadically, there seems to be a dog here and there that pops up. So I want to ask you about a couple of them. One is Winston. Who's
Oh
Winston the
yeah.
Hound?
Winston the Hound. So that was my good friend Adam's hound dog. He sadly passed on, I guess, about a year ago, year and a half
Okay.
maybe. And yeah, so he was probably my best dog friend in New York. I would house sit for my friend Adam and house and dog sit for Winston. Yeah, so we were good buddies. We both were very, very happy just kind of hanging out on the couch and watching TV and then maybe going to the park for a little bit just to see what was going on.
Okay. And then going back to your Instagram feed, it seems like you've toured extensively really throughout the world. Is it a welcome sight to have a dog, either a studio dog or a venue dog or just, a dog in a cafe?
Always, always. It always makes the day a little bit better, especially when you're on tour and sometimes you're just absolutely sick of dealing with human beings. And so it's always a very, very welcome sight to, just get a little pet in and a little pup hang, you
Yeah.
know.
If you consider yourself a dog person, what is it about dogs that kind of connects with you?
That's a good question. I guess they're just when they like you and love you, they love you unconditionally. And it's just kind of a nice thing. And it's one of those feelings, I know people always say that, but like having Egg come up to me like literally every time I come back into the house is a great, great feeling. I could go to the grocery store or be gone on tour for a month. And if I'm gone for that long, obviously the welcome is a little bit bigger, but not by much. And
Yeah.
I think that feeling's really cool.
Yeah. You have one quote that I was able to pull, and it just simply said, Egg is cooler than I will ever be. But it lends me to ask, is there a personality trait that Egg has that you kind of wish you had? Is Egg more easygoing or chill or less anxiety or up for everything or
If anything, somehow she's probably more anxious than me. Uh,
okay.
she's wired pretty tight, but once she gets comfortable with you, she's basically like the sweetest dog of all time. And she's a big fan of, she likes to lick people's faces. I always tell people if you let her lick your face and you'll have a best friend for life. So yeah, despite her being so anxious, she is very, very, very sweet.
Okay. And what about just her day to day? What do you do to keep her entertained or what is she like? Are there dog parks to where you live or is it long walks or
Well, thankfully we have a really big yard. We live in East Nashville, so we have a pretty big backyard, and we're also close to like kind of a greenway and the river. So there's a ton of deer and turkey that seem to wander in our vicinity. So when she's in the backyard, she's constantly policing the perimeter for deer, mainly deer this time of year, and she's fiercely protective of the yard and likes to get after the deer a little bit. But also too with the greenway so nearby, usually after lunch I take her on a pretty big walk. Either there's a like an old airfield that's been repurposed into a park that's really
oh
close.
great.
Sometimes we'll
Very
go
cool.
out there, and then there's also some greenway walks like kind of through like the woods and stuff that we'll go out. So I try to switch it up with her as much as possible, and for me as well. But yeah, usually we do that, and sometimes I'll play she likes this game. It's called we hide treats around the house, and I put her in the laundry room, and she just like goes nuts because she knows what's going on, and then she spends the next like 20 minutes like sniffing around the entire house. So
That's
on
great.
days when it's raining or cold or something, usually I do something like that to keep her engaged. And as always, her number one favorite of all time is a car ride. So
That's great.
yeah, we do that a lot. And actually, this is my fiance made an appointment with a pet medium, I guess about 6 months ago. Yeah, so that was an interesting kind of development, and I didn't even really know that existed, like a pet psychic, but apparently it's a big business.
I bet given this day and age.
But yeah, so yeah, the medium deduced that she really liked, she was talking, she said that Egg kept talking about the car. So she loves car rides, and then she loves like going on walks to with tall trees around, and she specifically loves long car rides to go see family. So yeah, after that, or pretty soon after that, we ended up going down to visit my family in Mississippi and took Egg with us, and then we're going down again for Christmas as well. So we try to do some of those things to keep her happy.
That's great. Is she reactive when she hears the word, I'll say CAR?
Oh yeah, if she hears the word car ride, she just perked up just right then. Yeah. So
And were
yeah,
you
she likes that.
present at the medium when your fiance took her?
No, I wasn't
Oh, so you had
allowed.
the feedback. Okay.
Yeah, it was over Zoom, and I wasn't allowed because my attitude wasn't I didn't have the proper attitude concerning the the viability of a pet medium. So I was
Yeah.
asked to go to the coffee shop for a while.
Okay. All right. I would tend to be more like you, but I was just curious to the how it worked, if she kind of pulled the information out of you and then expanded upon it or, just
Yeah,
kind
she
of
did. She
stabbed in
actually
midair.
the medium actually did like come up with like
She landed a
some
few.
stuff. Yeah, that there was no way that she could have known. But like at the first, I was like, oh, she said she likes car rides. Like that's like every dog ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
So yeah, but there was some stuff that was pretty cool.
now, do you credit the dog for getting you kind of up and out? Like if you didn't have the dog, you probably wouldn't be taking that walk on your own, would you? Or would you?
Definitely not. Yeah, and that was one of those things that like I kind of took for granted like when I lived in New York because you walk everywhere, and that's like, kind of your how you get around. So you
Yeah.
can, even not noticing it, you'll end up with, 12, 13,000 steps. And then, once I moved back to Mississippi and to Nashville as well, it's just not really a need to walk as much. So yeah, it has been really, really good having kind of an accountability partner to get me up and moving. She also kind of watches or kind of naps like while I work out as well. And she knows that like when I'm done with my workout, it's time to go on a walk. So having her kind of watch over me and hold me to account has helped in multiple ways for sure.
And is she good for your mental health, would you say? I mean, you mentioned she has more anxiety than you, but is she soothing to you, or is it
Oh,
not really?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great just because we haven't been touring very much this year. The first part of the year a little bit, but yeah, the second part of the year I've been basically just around the house kind of writing our new record and you know, kind of taking care of the house and stuff like that. So it's great to have like kind of a buddy around.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. You're never alone, and
Yeah.
I have the same situation with my dog. It's always nice to have someone to rely on. Well, I have this. My last five questions I call the zoomies, and those are fast, frivolous questions.
Oh,
The
great.
first one, you actually kind of answered, but you said she's a licker, and this is the kiss question. Do you let Egg lick your face?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Question two, does Egg have a theme song?
Yes, she does. It's called Whistle Stop. It's like the opening theme to the Robin Hood animated movie.
What made it that?
I always loved that movie growing up, and I love that song. Oh, it's Roger Miller. I think I played it on like my computer while Egg was like looking out the window at one point and took a video. And
That's the Egg is cooler than I'll ever be cover song.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so and she loves that song. I don't know if she loves it, but she definitely like perks up every time she hears that song. And yeah, that would definitely be her theme song.
Okay. Question three is I know Egg doesn't tour with you, but hypothetically, if she did, what would be on her tour rider?
Oh man, she would probably have to have her own bus or it would cost way more for us to tour with her because she's a bit of a diva. There would yeah, it'd be a lot of these like beef cheek rollies, basically any sort of like squeaky ball. She has like a football that she really likes, and probably a lot of French fries. Those are her kind of that's kind of one of her only like table foods that she is allowed. We like to call it the fried tax. Whenever we usually get like burgers on Friday for lunch, and she always takes like a fried tax from us. So yeah, definitely French fries.
I love it. I got to try that. So that's the second time in a couple episodes that somebody mentioned French fries, and I think my dog would probably go for that. But
Yeah,
I like the fry tax. I never heard of that before, but again, a previous guest was like, the cheese tax. Do you have the cheese tax? I'm like, what the hell is the
yeah.
cheese tax? Question four is do you give her a dog voice, or do you use a dog voice to speak to her, or do you give her a dog voice and channel what she would sound like?
Yeah, I kind of have a dog voice. I kind of have my own way of speaking to her for sure. We've never really given her a dog voice, but we definitely talk to her very differently than we would talk to anybody else.
Okay. And last but not least, question five, I always ask if there's a dog organization or a service that you'd want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, it's the Metro Animal Care and Control, MACC here in Nashville. They do a really, really good job with very, very limited funding, and we've actually taken a stray dog, out to Mac before. That was we had him in our yard for about a day, and we're able to take him out there, and thankfully he was able to be rehomed after about a couple of months.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, they do a really, really good job, and they don't have a lot of funding. So yeah, they do an amazing job, and it's a really hard job too. So every time we've dealt with them, they've been great.
Awesome. I'll get all their information and put it in the show notes so people can
Yes.
seek them out if they're in the area. The band, Bass Drum of Death, anything planned for 2025?
Yeah, we're gonna go make a new record in starting the first week of January. Yeah, and then hopefully after that be pretty busy for the rest of the year. Nothing on the books that I can say right now, but yeah, we're mainly just kind of focusing on getting that wrapped up and hopefully getting back out and touring a lot next year and the years after that.
Excellent. And what can your fans expect? How are we evolving?
Well, it's gonna be similar in that we're gonna track it all live, and I'm gonna use Jim and Ian, who are who have been in the band for the last record. I'm gonna use them as well, but we're doing it at a studio here in Nashville called Battle Tapes, and we've done a few songs already, and I think it's probably the best that we've sounded, just in terms of the recording quality and stuff like that. And we've been kind of going back and forth and collaborating a bunch more on the songs, much more than we did in the past. I think that'll make a big difference as well.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to it. Well, John, thank you for coming on and talking dogs. I'm always happy to get that yes when I send out my inquiry. So I was excited to talk to you and excited to see Egg for myself.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We'll see if she'll say bye. You want to say bye? Goodbye. She hates the word bye. But yeah, come up.
Hey, good girl. Beautiful.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, and my pleasure.